Hi everyone, it's Ann at Martin House Flowers. I thought we would take a walk through the garden on January 2nd. I wanted to take a walk because it was finally a warm enough day. It was around 2 degrees above freezing, and I was out for my morning walk with Eddie, or I should admit it was more of an afternoon walk since I haven't gotten my morning routine ready yet, but I will very soon. So here it is, the front of the home, the rose garden, how it's looking. You can see the all the compost that I piled up around the base of all my roses, and I didn't defoliate all of them, including the arbor filled with New Dawn and Eden rose. I decided to leave those on and see what comes back in the spring and do my cutting back in the spring. Those are snapdragons at the base of that shepherd's hook that holds our Bar Harbor bell. And here is the bed where I pulled out, I think there were 7 daylilies here, and this is where I plan to put a couple of my new David Austin roses. There's my Bobo hydrangeas, my lavender that will have to be cut back in the spring, little lime hydrangeas. As you can see, I leave on all of the blooms off my paniculata hydrangeas. Those are quick fire fab hydrangeas, and those are quick fires down there. And here we are walking into the raised garden bed area. So you'll notice that some of these filler flowers did not get taken out. There was bachelor's buttons in there, African daisies, and this bed here was cleaned up because it had all of my pumpkins and some cucumbers. Those were little baby boo pumpkins. There's Eddie on his walk, and he decided to climb into one of these beds. I don't know if he'll catch it, but he's never done that before. But anyway, I quickly feared him out of there. This was my red, white, and blue bed, and that will be my zinnia bed. I'm going to have 2 beds of zinnias right in the middle. And this was my snapdragon bed. And I've left all of those in there because I wanted to see what could possibly overwinter, and I'm not sure if anything will overwinter. There's some snapdragons in the corner there, but I plan to have 2 beds of snapdragons on at the far end here, and then in the middle I'll have zinnias, and then I'll have all my filler flowers on the front 2 beds out of the 6. I have roses growing in there, and spinning around here is my bed with the Rising Sun Redbud. There's a forsythia in the corner there that grew quite tall. I think one of my last videos where I was cutting perennials down, it was this bed. And here we have the evergreens in the back. And there's a look at our raised bed that usually holds our tomatoes. And I had a lot of really beautiful marigolds. I actually had some dahlias from seed in the corner there, tomatoes, lettuce, all the herbs. And look what's coming up, my garlic that I planted in November, I believe. I just did 1 bulb with several cloves of garlic that I planted in there, and I didn't open up those bags of compost. So I did a quick shot there of some irises that I ended up cutting back at the end of this video, or before I filmed the last part of the video. But there is my aloe that I cut back, and these are my mysterious double amaryllis that have not even bloomed even a little bit, like not even a green leaf. So I'm getting a little worried, but we'll keep an eye on it. I think it's just a slow grower. My Meyer lemon tree is doing well. I need to come in here and do a weekly watering before I leave for Toronto. And there are those pots where I pulled out the mandevilla. I had 3 of them back here, 1 pink and 2 white. There's my myrtle tree, topiary, and I have blue hyacinths in those white pots that haven't sprouted yet because they need a cooling period. my other bulbs that I'm forcing in Eddie's face, and my mini muscaris that are hiding underneath there, my beautiful fern. And this was the third mandevilla that I really pondered about. It didn't look completely freezer burnt, frosted burnt, but I did end up pulling it out. And there's some of the paper whites that I have in my window boxes. That's our heater above my head there that you're hearing. So that's about it inside the greenhouse, other than my paper whites and my lemon tree that's blooming. Oh yes, there's a couple of the boxwoods. There's my hydrangea basket arrangement I did a few videos ago. I forgot to pull out that pot of snapdragons. So I'm just taking a look here at my no-dig bed that I planted late summer with my hydrangeas. Boy, a lot of that mulch got, I don't know, the wind might have pushed it onto the lawn, and some of my three of my other hydrangeas there. And that cage keeps getting blown off, even with stakes, that is supposed to be covering my turtle head that the bunnies ate to the ground. I put a couple staples back in there, and hopefully that'll stay. So I came back in to the greenhouse and decided it was time, now or never, to pull out this third mandevilla. And it came out pretty easily with one hand, one pull. And there was a surprise as I was digging through here, which you'll see in a minute. Maybe you can help me identify this mysterious tuber. I found a tuber. You'll see in a second, and I have no idea. I'm telling you, I still learn every day. Is that a mandevilla tuber that I'm about to show you? So here is one of two of my indoor plants that I have managed to keep alive. And I cut back some of the trailers, and I can tell that there's new growth because those lavender leaves on that variegated foliage is a sign of what the plant looked like when I first purchased it. And this is one of the reasons why I want to visit Barb at the garden market in Sycamore, so that she can help me rescue and hopefully help me keep alive some indoor plants, because obviously I haven't been very successful. I think I started with 5 to 7 indoor plants, and I'm not doing very well with them. So it was such a nice day, and I had half a bag of lawn and leaf bags filled with the mandevilla dead plants. And I came in here and I cleaned up my hydrangeas. These are big leaf hydrangeas. These are the Endless Summer. They're about 3 years old now, and although I don't prune any of my hydrangeas until the spring, I decided that I could do a little bit of a cleanup here. And it's good to leave a little bit of compost or leaf matter around the base, but I just ran my fingers up and down the branches and just easily pulled off the leaves that were dry, and had most of them had already fallen to the ground. So I just sort of cleaned them up a little bit, because this is the side yard that is across from our neighbors, and I like to keep it fairly fairly tidy. And this is sort of a tunnel area where their maple tree right beside here that sheds into this bed. And for the most part, it was clear of those maple leaves, but I thought I'd just do a little bit of cleanup. So you can do a little bit of cleanup in January as long as, it's not snowing, obviously, and there's not any snow in the ground. I just did a little bit of leaf cleanup, and I did also cut back those irises right at the front of the walkway on our south garden. Happy 2025. So in this video, I thought I would talk about some of my 2025 realistic garden goals. So if you've been following my channel, you might know that I've been on YouTube coming up to my first year. I've been on YouTube for 10 months, and I had been documenting over the past season my new garden beds for my cut flowers. We built a greenhouse. We dug probably about 5 or put in 5 no dig beds and did quite a few projects. So I thought I would share some of my learnings and what I wanted to do differently in the upcoming season. So getting right to it, the first thing on my list of realistic garden goals, and that is to keep it simple. And as I mentioned, I want to learn from last year's projects and learn from my mistakes. That's kind of a given. So also over the winter, I'm sure we've all received some really nice garden books. This year I actually didn't receive any, but I did receive quite a few last year and ordered a few. So that's on my list of some of the things to do during my downtime, and that's to read my garden books. And if you're interested, I thought maybe I would start to talk about some of my favorite books in the upcoming weeks, and maybe do a little book review on those. So I'm leaving for Toronto tomorrow evening, and I'm planning to bring a couple of my books because I will have some downtime. I'll be away from home, away from the garden, and I'll be visiting my daughter and son-in-law and see my new grandson, but also I will have some time to walk around the Toronto area and obviously have some evenings to myself. And I thought I would bring a couple of my garden books and go through those. Also, just jumping to Toronto a little bit, there are some really lovely flower shops and some things around the downtown area where I'll be staying. And I thought I might share some of those things with you if that was of interest. So let me know in the comments below if that's of interest. I'm doing a couple field trips in Toronto. So the other thing on my list is to, I laugh because is to buy less plants and less seeds. So in another video, I'm going to share with you some of my seeds that I've collected from last year that some of them I planted and I still have remaining seeds, but I also have a few new seeds that I'm thinking about ordering from Johnny's. And I think one of them is ballerina, it's a zinnia, and a couple more snapdragons. So I'm thinking about those, are in my basket on Johnny's, and I've been watching other garden channels and looking at their garden seeds or seedlings that seeds that they have planned for this coming season, and that one kind of resonated with a few other gardeners. And when I saw the Johnny's recent email, a couple of those came up and I immediately put it in my basket, but haven't quite made the decision yet whether to order them because I do want to go through my seeds a little more closely, and I might share that with you as well. So the third thing is to learn to propagate from cuttings, and that goes along with buying less plants because obviously there are a lot of plants that you can propagate from, and I want to do some of that. I know you can propagate from geraniums, you can propagate basil from seedlings, or sorry, from cuttings. And I just want to look into that a little more and then obviously share that with all of you. And the fourth thing is to collaborate with other gardeners and other plant experts. So, on that vein, I frequently talk about one of my friends. She has a local small garden center and plant store. And I ran into her on New Year's Eve, and I had actually messaged her that evening or that afternoon before heading out. And I messaged her to say, I'm finding that a lot of us gardeners are not exactly experts when it comes to indoor plants. And I myself have a lot to learn about indoor plants. And she has a store that when she's not selling in the spring, summer months, her, perennials and trees and all of, her nursery product, she actually has a really good assortment of indoor plants. And I thought it would be a really cool idea to have a tour of her store and get her to talk about indoor plants. And so I'm really hoping, I'm not going to say who the store is and who the owner is yet, because I just sort of planted the seed in her mind, and it's hopeful that she will allow me into her store to interview her, and that could be an upcoming video. So let me know also in the comments if that interests you, because I'm excited to do that. So cross her fingers, she agrees. The other thing is to visit a lavender farm. You all have seen those beautiful lavender fields that we see in calendars and books. And I was doing some research online, and there's actually a lavender farm just an hour south of me here in Northern Illinois. So that is on my list of things to do this early summer. And I want to take you along on that, assuming they allow me to film at the farm. But I absolutely love lavender. You might have noticed that if you've watched other videos of mine. I grow a lot of lavender in my front yard. I have a row of them just directly in front of the front porch. And then I have some on my, let's see, that would be my west side of the garden right here. And so sometimes I know what variety I'm planting. Other times I don't. I just plant them and I think about it after, like, what was that? I do grow a lot of Sweet Romance lavender from Proven Winners. I know that was a successful variety for me. So, but I really still would absolutely love to see how other lavender farms actually do it from a expertise standpoint. So that is on one of my things to visit. I want to visit some local gardens, and in our town there is a garden tour that I've been meaning to visit and go along. And this year I couldn't go because my sciatica was at its worst, and I absolutely could not walk around. I could barely walk my dog down the street and walk around my garden and do some, minor tasks, but I wasn't unfortunately able to join the garden walk. So that is on my list to do this year for sure. And then I'd love to take you along for that. And going along with collaborating with other gardeners, I'd love to meet some of the other local or YouTube gardeners that aren't too far away from me. And one of them is the Chicago gardener that I've talked about a couple times on previous videos, and she has a balcony. I think they just built their third balcony, but she is a container garden expert, and her name's Bethany. And I would love to meet Bethany, and I dropped her a note on her recent video, and I'm really hoping that Bethany agrees to meet with me. Either she could come to my garden or I could go visit her, just to get, it's always so cool when you see other gardeners meeting other gardeners. And, we're all so guilty of being so critical of our own gardens. And it's so nice to see or hear a perspective from other gardeners. So I'm really hoping that I get to meet someone like Bethany at the Chicago Gardener channel. And also, I've mentioned before a couple times Jen at Pretty Little Garden. Now, Jen is in New York, and I believe she's near Buffalo. And it's a good distance away from me, but I'm somehow hoping, I have no idea when or how we could do it, but I'm somehow hoping that we could meet. Either she could come this way, or maybe when I'm driving on the way to Toronto, that maybe I could somehow visit her. Anyway, I would just love to meet Jen because, as I said before, we've kind of become friends via YouTube, and I just think it would be great to meet her and collaborate with her about our YouTube experiences. So the other thing is to do less back-breaking tasks. As some of you have known, I really suffered with sciatica this spring. It hit me in May. I had retired from my career at the end of February and started my YouTube channel in March. And I was going full throttle. And all of a sudden in May, that's basically March, April, May, 2 months after I was going full tilt in my projects, and I was doing a lot of edging. I did an entire palette of mulch in terms of, spreading all of those. I think there was something like 70 plus bags, 75 bags or so all over the gardens. And I did those bags of mulch all by myself, only because Greg was super busy with building our raised beds and building our greenhouse. So since those big projects are no longer going to be on the ticket, I'm hoping that we can do some of these basic tasks that can sometimes be backbreaking and a lot of repetitive action. So I'm hoping that I'm not going to be doing things like that to the extreme this spring. You probably saw that I do a lot of no-dig beds, and that is a lot less backbreaking, but with that comes a lot of edging. So I know I'm going to be doing a lot of edging, and again, and I was doing it by hand this year with my tool, my Hodag tool, and I wasn't very good at using the upright edger, the one that you sort of jump on like a one of those. I can't think of the name. But anyway, I need to get better at edging and not using my same arm and creating this repeat motion and getting this pinched nerve that I often get and still struggle with. And the last thing in terms of my realistic garden goals for 2025 is to take more personal time and take better care of myself. And obviously, I need to not aggravate my sciatica, do more exercising, and get back into yoga, because prior to hurting myself this spring, I was actively doing yoga, and then I had to unfortunately quit my gym membership and stop doing yoga because I just couldn't, even hold myself up for long periods of time to do some of those stretches. So that is absolutely in my goal, and I'm going to start doing that this week because I won't be in my garden, and it's just very helpful for even someone my age to be doing our stretches and actively breathing and relaxing at the same time as enjoying all of the wonderful benefits of gardening. So thanks for joining me on this video. It was just a quick video to talk about my 2025 realistic garden goals, and we will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.